So imagine inheriting a fortune, only it comes to you in the form of a whole bunch of little tiny die-cast cars. Is that a blessing or a curse? Is it a fortune or a logistical nightmare? I've been thinking a lot about this as I recover from surgery and I sit with idle time on my hands and I think, what can I do that's productive? So I've taken on the task of sorting through some childhood treasures. They're treasures to me. I know their monetary value. I know their sentimental value. They've brought me joy over the years. They've brought me anguish and having to move them from home to home. And I don't know that I want to plague my family with understanding what each little car is worth. And worse, having to move these things around and then sort them out. It just seems like a nightmare for them. I've been collecting these silly little cars for 48 years. And along those lines comes the glory of inheriting 4,000 little cars that you have no idea what they're worth. The thought of leaving that to my daughter and overwhelming her with these enormous buckets of things she has no concept of what the monetary value is. Maybe I should take care of that ahead of time. So I'm going to dive into my childhood and some of the stories that came along with gathering these small cars. Some of them very interesting. I wonder if you have collections of your own. Maybe it's thimbles or spoons or cookie jars or hot rod cars. So come along. We're going to dive into these boxes. We're going to find out what they're worth. We're going to figure out how to get rid of them. Come along. Let's see what we can learn together. Let's see what we got. The sheer volume of these has really made me redefine the value of an inheritance. Let's dig into these and see what we can find. Time takes its toll on things. You know, some people collect packages, so the package is bent, the plastic is cracked, and that reduces their value in the eyes of those collectors. Some of these hold some value. Let's pop another box and see what's in the next one. Oh, the workhorses, the old-fashioned ones, big trucks, McDonald's. You know, these often became the source of Christmas presents, and people find out that you're into Hot Wheel cars and they bring you cars that, you know, it's important to them, but to me, I know the value. Yeah, I don't know. You just collect them. You remember these ones with a metal badge? The little metal badge? That's still got the little tab on it too. All right, well, let's dig into these and see what we can figure out. What's this one got? Some loose cars. I really enjoyed cars that were promotional. So this one here is an Eco Lab or something. You know, you had to go to the company and get it. It was a promotional for the company. So you couldn't just buy it in the store. You had to seek it out. Here's one from a Hot Wheels collector's convention. Right, so limited cars. I don't know. Here's Shell. So you had to go to a Shell gas station to get it. That one there came out of Ziploc, you see? So you had to buy Ziploc bags and send away to get them. I remember one time we were in the grocery store and there was a company there promoting their frozen pizzas. I had picked up some Tony's pizzas because Tony's, if you bought 2 pizzas and sent in the UPC, you could get a Tony's Pizza Hot Wheel car. So this company was doing a promotion on their pizza, and I had just picked up 2 Tony's Pizza, and the guy starts explaining to me, do you know that Tony's Pizza has the same ingredients as bowling balls or something like that? You know, and I'm like, I don't care. And he's looking at me like I'm crazy. And I said, The Tony's Pizzas comes with Hot Wheel cars. I didn't care about the pizza. I wanted the car, you know. McDonald's gave away Hot Wheel cars in their Happy Meal toys. A lot of times they were plastic. You know, good Hot Wheel cars were metal, and the McDonald's ones were plastic. But you could find, here's Gulf gasoline, you know, and I'd go into the gas station and say, hey, do you guys have the little Hot Wheel car? No, they don't have it. I'd go all over town till I found one that had the car. I don't know, lots of cars. What is there? There's the Gulf. That's the ones I enjoyed. Oh, is this one? Oh, look at this. The gold Lamborghini. That was out of the reveals. So Hot Wheels made this package that it was like a surprise. You buy it and it's in a wrapper and you can't see what the car looks like. And then you get home and you open it up. And so there were 12 different reveal cars, you know, 1 through 12. And then each of those had 3 different ones inside the package. You didn't know what the paint scheme was going to be. So there's 36 different cars. And it was always a gamble for the kids to try and chase down. But during that promotion, they had, if you opened it up, one of them would have a token in it. I think there was 100. I think there was 100 cars, 100 tokens that you could send away like a Willy Wonka thing, and get the gold Lamborghini. I think at the end of the promotion they had not found them all, and so they said, send us in 16 UPCs from these other cars, and we'll send you a gold Lamborghini. So I got 2 of them. Boy, I got a lot of stuff to dig through. Getty must have been, I think Getty was some kind of a gas station back in the day. Let's see, what do we got here? Hot Wheels newsletter. Hot Wheels newsletter. Let's see what's in the other boxes. Haha, look at these ones. These are the old opened up ones I played with, Redlines. So Hot Wheel cars, when they first came out, they had a little red line on the tire. That's how you know the old ones. These are all old Hot Wheel cars. See the red line? So what happened is, you know, when Hot Wheels first came out, they were all about muscle cars. And I got several muscle cars in here. And then somewheres around, they came out in 68. That's the year I was born. Some years around 70, 71, when the space thing happened, they started making space cars. And the designers were doing these weird kinds of space things. I never cared for those as a kid. I wanted the muscle cars. So I have a bunch of these little red line cars. Not in the greatest shape, you know. Some people are really meticulous about their collection. And some of them don't have the red lines, but I clearly remember playing with this car as a kid. There's one here that was, well, this was one of my favorites right here. That was one of my favorites. Baja Bruiser, I think they called that one. The one that I really remember, I don't see in here. I'll have to dig for it. This was one of my favorites. That was probably my number 2 favorite car right there. You had the old Smokey and the Bandit, right? Trans Am. You had the T-Bucket Roadster. Had the little whirligig on the bottom. You blow in there and it makes the little turbine spin. Again, back to the space car. You know, it just wasn't realistic to me. It wasn't realistic like the Boss Hoss. Right? Come on now. That's just a cool car. Lots to go through. You get the idea. Aqua Fresh toothpaste. So I found those, you know, they come with the toothpaste, right? But of course I kept the toothpaste. I have a whole box of these Aqua Fresh toothpaste. That toothpaste has got to be miserable. But how do I get rid of these? Right? So eBay, you take a picture, take multiple pictures, post it up there. You wait your 6 days or whatever. Maybe somebody bids, they don't. You got to relist it. It's a part-time job. And that's why I thought, while I'm recovering from this, Maybe that's a good thing to be doing. Turning these into dollars, which are going down anyways. I just need to turn them into something else that's easier to deal with. Let me know if you have suggestions, how you've dealt with your collections. I don't have to sell them. I just feel like here's this period of time in my life when I'm incapacitated and I can focus on issues that need to be addressed, maybe. So Mattel would do things like make a 5-pack of cars, but this particular car here, you can only get that color scheme and those wheels and that interior if you bought the 5-pack. So some of these cars may be worth more out of the package than in the package. So a couple more quick stories for you. One is pink cars. Historically, collecting cars, the pink ones are just the hardest to get because little boys in the 60s, 70s didn't like pink cars. They stomped on them. They blew them up with firecrackers. They painted them. They did anything. They set them on fire. Hard to find pink cars from way back when. So these here were the 25th anniversary cars, and they replicated some of the original cars. You remember the old Snake and Mongoose. Here's the 25th anniversary cars of the Snake and Mongoose. They replicated the cars from 1968, but I have these original ones in these boxes somewhere. But what happened with these cars is that they made a set of these. I think there were 10 cars, maybe. There's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Must have been 12 different cars. And they put them out as the 25th anniversary celebration, 12 cars. And all the collectors went out and bought one car, one of each. And then they sat on the shelf because they were $2.50, $3 maybe, where the regular car was $1. And so no parents were going to buy these for the kids to play with. So all the collectors bought one of each, and then they just sat there. And so Mattel pulled them all off the shelf. They brought them in, they repainted them another color, and they put them back out. And then all the collectors went and bought one of each. And so then they ended up doing that like 26 different times. At some point, it was like, this is a scam. I'm not doing that. I never got into that. I can recognize a scam when I see it. If it's not fun, I'm not going to do it. And that was not fun. Oh, look, here they are. Here's my Snake and Mongoose cars right here. There they are, originals. 1968. Got them in the little cube boxes and everything.
Don Prudhomme's Snake. Tom McEwen's Mongoose. Dragdom's fastest duo goes from the drag strip to your home. It's Mattel's Mongoose Snake drag set. Just like the big ones. Funny cars. Screaming speed. Get Hot Wheels Mongoose Snake drag set. Only from Mattel. And go with a winner.
Right there, Snake and Mongoose. Look at that dude right there. Look at that. That's a Redline. Silver Series, I believe they call that. I think it was about 1991. I was riding my CR250 around the motocross track, dirt bike, and Rebecca was actually filming me. I'll dig around someday and see if I can't find that video. But Rebecca was filming me going around the motocross track, and came off of a jump, and my back wheel landed a little to the left, and that shot me off to the right. Well, there was a berm that went to the left. And so instead of getting into that corner and taking that hard berm, because it shot me to the right, I hit that berm like a jump. Launched off the top. Well, that track was on top of a cliff. And I went over the cliff. About a 25-foot drop. Took the helicopter home. Rebecca found me at the bottom of this canyon. We were riding with some friends. That was in the days of the cell phone was mounted in your car, and they were able to get help. And so I took the helicopter to the hospital. I was in the hospital, I don't know, a week or so. It dislocated my collarbone from my shoulder and my sternum, broke 4 ribs, broke my wrist, punctured a lung, busted myself up pretty good. And so in that recovery, I was home quite a bit, not working. And my neighbor, three doors down, was an old retired fella. Red Nut was his name, chief of police in the little town we lived in. And so I would wander down and sit in Red's house and have a cup of iced tea with him. And he was a collector of a variety of different things, antiques and what have you. He had some old antique magazines, antique collector magazines. And I was just looking through them. And in the back, I saw a little ad for Hot Wheel collectors. And I thought, I've been doing this since I was a kid. I didn't think anybody else collected these things. And so made a phone call, I think, at the time and found out about this guy. Tomart was his name. And there was a collection convention going on in the Bay Area. And next thing you know, my wife and I are headed over. Next thing you know, Rebecca and I, she was not my wife at the time, we're headed over to the Bay Area where I found all these other little Hot Wheel geeks. And that really kicked it off that, wow, I thought I was the only one doing this. I had been doing it since I was a kid. And so that sort of started my collector, got me more into it. So this was FAO Schwartz. FAO Schwartz was the, in Tom Hanks' Big, the movie Big, where he's dancing around in the toy store, playing on the piano, dancing on the piano keys. That's the FAO Schwartz store. And they had one in San Francisco, I believe. And they did a special set of cars. There it is. See, so it's a set. And this was probably that 25th anniversary set. The 12 cars, I imagine. There's 12 cars. And this particular one here was the one everyone was after, the Gold Passion car. It was a particular vehicle. Oh, these all had gold wheels. I think they may have been like 24 karat gold plated wheels or something like that. But I got 2 of these sets. So we'll turn that into something. Okay, so this is interesting. This is the original classic Nomad car. See that? That's the original. And then the one that they replicated is right there. So it's the same car. They just made it new for the 25th anniversary. Same with the Snake and Mongoose. So I've actually got the originals for a lot of the original. I think they made 16 cars when Hot Wheels first came out in 1968. All right, here's another funny story. I was at that convention and came across this guy here. So this is Spawn, and here's the car, the Spawn car. So Spawn was a kind of a new superhero, and Mattel was trying to get comic book collectors to collect Hot Wheels and vice versa. So this guy, his name is Al Simmons, was there. And we're like, Al Simmons, who's Al Simmons? Well, Al Simmons is the equivalent of Bruce Wayne in the Spawn comics. Al Simmons is the character in the comics that turns into the Spawn when he gets, I don't know, electrocuted. I don't know what I never read the book. So the interesting thing is that the guy who wrote this comic, I think, was named Todd McFarlane. And he drew up this comic. He'd been doing it for years. He had this kind of little cult following, and then it hit, and it went big time, and he got published, and so he had to call Al Simmons, who was his roommate in college. And he said, hey, I need to come over and have dinner with you. Oh, okay. So he shows up, and he says, look, turns out you're the Spawn. He's like, what are you talking about? Yeah, so Todd McFarlane made this entire comic about Al Simmons, who was his roommate in college, who turns into the superhero, and never told him. And then it went big, and he had to tell him, hey, by the way, you're in all these comic books, and you're the guy that turns into the monster. So he told him, take it, make as much money with it as you can. And so Al Simmons was there signing autographs, and we got a couple signed autographs from Al Simmons. Another goofy car story. See what I found? Tony's pizza car. So what happened is that I had that dirt bike crash and realized that other people were collecting, went to this convention in the Bay Area and met other people and found out that there was a huge convention happening in Los Angeles. And Rebecca and I booked a hotel, and I don't know, 6 months later, we were headed down to Los Angeles. They booked the entire hotel, 13, 14 floors tall, conference rooms. Every room in the place was full of Hot Wheel collectors, and everybody set up their cars on the extra bed in the hotel room. And you just went from room to room to room, floor to floor, buying and trading and swapping, and it was kind of exciting. But what happened there is Mattel showed up. I was there at the meeting when Mattel said, hey, you guys have been a pain in our butt for many, many years. And we finally decided to embrace you. Because the Hot Wheel collectors would call and say, well, in 1972, exactly how many of the purple whatchamacallit car did you make? And Mattel's like, I have no idea. Well, how many had the green wheels? Good Lord, you people are dorks. You know, that's what Mattel was thinking. Well, Mattel decided to embrace the collector. And so they started then, that year, they said, we're going to start putting out Hot Wheels in sets. There'll be one of 4, and it'll be called the Big Truck Series or something. And so you got to find all 4 of the Big Truck Series. So it made it adventurous to go in the store and look around, try and find the, oh, I got number 3. I just need number 2 left, and I'll have the collection, you know, of those sets. That created what the industry called scalpers. And prior to that, they didn't really exist. Prior to that, it was kids and adults, obviously, who enjoyed collecting these little cars, and it was fun. And you could say, oh, I don't have a blue one. I'll trade you for a green one. And that was, you know, that was kind of how it worked. But when Mattel did that, when they made those sets, it allowed people who didn't collect Hot Wheel cars to profit from them. They didn't need to know about the intricacies of the car. They just needed to know, I've got to buy number 4. And if I go in and I buy all the number 4s, then the collectors who have 1 through 3 will be stuck. They want the number 4, and I can charge them $20 for the number 4 car so they can complete their collection. And it started an industry that I think ruined collecting. In my opinion, ruined it. And this was before eBay. So I keep talking about these scalpers, and I don't mean to harp on it. It was just kind of a big event in the whole collecting world. One interesting thing was I remember on the news, watching the news, and they were doing a story about Hot Wheel collectors, and the news reporter was on the back dock of Target, and when the truck was backing up, and she said, you know, some people are complaining about, because what happens is the store employees, you know, they're making minimum wage, and someone comes in and goes, look, I'll give you $15 for every car that, you know, you set aside for me. So the good cars never made it to the shelves. You would go in, it's happening today. It happens all the time right now. Anyhow, this news reporter is on the back dock, and the truck's backing up, and they roll the door open, and they go in and they get these cases of Hot Wheels coming straight out of the truck, and they open them up, and all the sought after ones were missing out of the box. So it was a black market, a cartel, a Hot Wheel cartel, went clear back into the warehouse of where these things were boxed up, were never even making it into the stores. I mean, prior to eBay, you had to know people, you had to go to conventions, you had to be in clubs. Even the internet wasn't really a big thing. So you had to buy and trade and swap with other people who were into it. And eBay really ruined the search. You didn't need to look anymore. You could just go online and click it and get what you wanted right then. It ruined the hunt. But the scalpers ruined the collection. And it was a big thing with these, particularly these 25th anniversary cars. These cars right here were the ones that the scalpers bought. So you could get 11 of the cars in the different colors if you were chasing that down, but the scalpers would buy all of the nomads. And so if you wanted to complete your collection, you had to pay a scalper. When I was in 4th or 5th grade, I had a birthday party and I invited a bunch of friends to come to my party. One of the kids showed up and he brought me 10 of these classic Redline in the package Hot Wheel cars. His dad used to own a gas station, Shell gas station, and back in the late 60s, if you filled up your car, you got a free Hot Wheel car. Maybe some of you remember that. Let me know if you remember that. So his parents owned a gas station, and they lost the station. When they closed it down, they still had several cases of these cars. And this kid came to my birthday party and brought me 10 of these cars. Now, another kid at my party, he was kind of the big kid. He was always a little bit of a, I wouldn't say bully, but he threw his weight around a bit. He threatened me. He said, if you open those up, I'll beat you up. I said, why would you do that? He said, because those are worth money. And I thought, well, heck, if those are worth money, then the ones I'm currently playing with are worth money. And I had a paper route. So I would purchase 2 cars, one to play with and one to keep in the package. And that's how I started my collection. That, and then of course there was birthdays and Christmas, and sometimes you're just at the store and you could throw 1 or 2 in the cart and mom wouldn't notice. And so that's how my collection started. I think I've got a few more of those good Redline cars in here, but some of these I really liked. These were the extras, came with extra parts. These were called real riders. They had real rubber tires. Workhorses were, the bigger trucks and things. I don't know. It was something I did as a kid. I really enjoyed, snow plows. Oh, just ruined the value of that one. Huh? So some more Redlines still in the package. We're going to find out what their value is. Maybe, I don't know. What are your thoughts? I could get rid of some of these, reduce the quantity, maybe increase the quality of the collection. Maybe just get rid of some of the bulk, some of the later things that I collected that I don't think have as much value. I found, again, eBay requires some level of effort. There is a new app that I found called Whatnot, and it's kind of a rapid live stream auction. You do your own auction, and people are in there, and they bid 10, 15 seconds per car, So maybe that's a way to get rid of some. Shipping is always an issue. Logistics of taking things down to the post office. You got to make sure that it's worth your hassle. Oh, I sold that for $2 and it takes me 20 minutes to package it up and get it down to the post office. So I need to consider all those things. I am interested in your thoughts. I'd love to know what your collections are. I'd love to know what you've decided to do with your collections, and if you're going to just leave them for your family to figure out, or maybe this motivates you to take care of your business behind the scenes. Well, just for fun, let's just look up a few of these on eBay and see what they go for. And we'll just randomly pick. This one, it just happens to be sitting on top. So that is the Workhorse Airport Rescue. Let's look it up and see what it says. All right, so here we got 1980s, $44.99, $24.99, $37.99. I'm not sure why some are more than others. One for $105. Very hard to find, $105. Now, this is eBay, and this is what people are asking for the cars. But the reality is, what do the cars sell for? So let's see if we can sort this or filter it by cars that have been sold. Come down here, we're going to click sold items. Searching. Here we go. So now we got sold items. Okay, it's sold for $18.50. There's one that sold for $50. That was on September 28th. Here's another one sold for $50. $38. Now $38 with a $6 delivery. There was one for $20. $44. So this car right here is probably in the $40 to $50 range. One car. Let's try a different one. We'll try this Redline right here. I don't know what it's called. Ford Coupe. All right. We're searching here. There we go. Ooh. Well, there's a deal right there. Look at that one. $500. $500 right there. Oh, wait a minute. That's requested. Let's see what they sold for. Sold items. Okay, well, not too bad. $200. I'm still recording this. $200 to $350. $260. Okay, so $425. The guy didn't pay. So it looks like, you know, 200 to $350 would be my guess. 200 to 350. So that means, you know, if I were to look at my other Redlines, if I got a dozen of them or so, $2,500. Is it worth selling? Do you just hang on to them? Yeah, I don't need the $2,500. I also don't need these boxes of things laying around. So maybe there's some combination of selling things and holding on to them that I can find a balance. This is a 96 first editions. Here we go. So see, this is what I was describing. Okay, there's two of them sold for $12. One of them sold for $4, $4.50, $5, $13. So wow, I mean, this car right here could be $10. And I got a lot of these kind of cars, so maybe there's something to be had here. I'm going to dig in. It's going to take me some time, obviously. It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming to me, and I know what these are. I can just imagine my family. So the Hot Wheel cars, when you look at the bottom of them, it'll have a date on it. That is not necessarily the date that it was manufactured. That is the date that the casting was made. So if you flip it over and you're like, oh, 1968, that's worth that's just when the casting was made. You have to know, oh, that's a white one. It's got black interior. That was made in 1984, right? You just have to know those things or use eBay. And let's see what we can find. There he is right there. Out of the package, $60. $60 right there. Okay, so that's a $50 car. All right. Well, you guys want to see? Yeah, it's still swollen a bit. All right, if you're not into gory, gross stuff, close your eyes. Look at that, dude. I just want you to know I'm not faking it. Obviously, they're not proud of the swelling. Anxious for it to go down. Maybe get my Maybe I'll get a 4-pack now because he's had to sew a couple of those packs together. But it hurts to sneeze, it hurts to cough. I don't do any stretching. I don't lift my arm above my head. I just don't lift anything. It hurts. Yeah. But I didn't want y'all thinking I'm faking it. Hopefully that didn't gross you out. I'm not proud of my physique right now. It's life just the way it is. But look at this. You see that right there? That is an Earring Magic Ken. So Earring Magic Ken came out. He had this thing around his neck here that you could clip your earrings onto. He's got a little earring. Well, evidently that thing around your neck, around Ken's neck there, is a indicator in alternative lifestyle communities that indicates something. And so Earring Magic Ken came out, and then the alternative lifestyle community said, "Hey, look, Ken has come out of the closet. See that? He's got little." And Mattel said, "No, he has not." And they took them all off the shelf. And so I was in Canada, and I found like 5 of these, and bought them. Unfortunately, it's been crushed. But let's take a look and see what Earring Magic Ken is going for. Earring Magic Ken. There he is, $119 in the case that's not crushed. $50. $149, but let's see what they actually sell for. We'll go here to sold items, and $89. It's tough. Do you struggle with getting rid of things that have, I don't know, sentimental value? You know, silly little cars that you just have carried around for the last 45 years? But it's overwhelming for me. It would be super overwhelming for somebody else. To me, it's a bad feeling to think of them looking at this and going, "Dad, what'd you leave us this junk for?" Well, I am genuinely curious about your collections, about things that you have gathered over the years, your childhood memories that come along with them, what you've chosen to do with them, if you're taking steps to address those. If you're just going to leave them for your kids, maybe that's okay. Maybe, again, it's some strike of a balance. I think I'm going to wrap some of these up and do that rapid auction, and I'll take you along with me on some of those. And some of these may go to eBay. I hope that you've enjoyed my goofy Hot Wheel collection. It's just another piece of the puzzle, and right now it's what I can do, so that's what I'm taking care of. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate you. We'll see you next week. Looking for my favorite car. I don't see it. So I could probably get these out. Oh.